Picture this. You haven't seen your aunt in 8 months. She walks through the door at Thanksgiving, looks at you, and just stops. Doesn't say hi, doesn't hug you, just stares and says, "What happened to you?"
And you don't know whether to laugh or cry, because you've been asking yourself the same thing. 47 pounds gone, blood pressure back to normal, sleeping through the night for the first time in years, all from a weekly injection that most people only know from celebrity gossip headlines. But here's why we made this video. Nobody talks about the full picture. Not the weird parts, not the emotional side, not what happens when it starts working, and definitely not what happens when it stops.
So that's what this is. The real before and after. No sponsorships, no highlight reel, just what actually happens to your body and your mind on Ozempic.
All right, what is Ozempic actually doing inside your body? Because most people just hear weight loss shot and stop there, and that completely misses why this drug is such a big deal.
Here's how it works. Your body naturally produces a hormone called GLP-1. Every time you eat, GLP-1 rises and signals your brain, "We're full. Slow down, stop eating." Simple enough?
The active ingredient is called semaglutide. It was originally approved by the FDA in 2017, not for weight loss, but for type 2 diabetes. That part matters.
But for a lot of people, that signal is either weak, short-lived, or the brain has just stopped responding to it properly. Semaglutide mimics that hormone, but stronger and for much, much longer. So when people say the hunger just disappears on Ozempic, that's not willpower. That's not a mindset shift. That is a literal biological change happening in the brain. And once you understand that, it changes the whole conversation. Everyone wants to jump straight to the transformation, but the before is the whole reason any of this matters, and it gets skipped way too fast. For most people who end up on Ozempic, the before isn't just a higher number on a scale. It's years of trying things, losing 20 pounds and gaining back 25, being hungry all the time, genuinely, constantly hungry, and being told to just try harder, eat less, move more, like you hadn't thought of that. Here's something that took a long time for the medical community to fully accept. For many people with obesity, the body actively fights against weight loss. When you cut calories, hunger hormones spike, metabolism slows. The body treats dieting like a threat and pushes back hard. It's not a character flaw, it's biology. The before for most Ozempic users isn't laziness, it's exhaustion. Years of fighting a battle where the biology was working against them the entire time. Okay, first injection done. You're waiting for the magic. Week 1 is kind of underwhelming. You start on the lowest dose, 0.25 milligrams, just to let your body adjust. Maybe a little nausea, maybe a slight drop in appetite. Nothing dramatic. Week 2 to 3 is where something starts shifting. And the best way to describe it? Imagine there's always been this background noise in your head, constantly thinking about food, what you'll eat next, whether you're hungry, what's in the fridge. It's just always there. And slowly, that noise turns down. You sit down for dinner, you're full halfway through the plate, and you're genuinely fine leaving the rest. For a lot of people, that has never happened before in their adult life. Side effects in this phase are real. Nausea is the most reported, especially after fatty or heavy meals. Some people get constipation. Some get bloating or fatigue. It's not comfortable. But for most people, it eases off after the first few weeks, and the scale starts moving, maybe 3 or 4 pounds by end of month 1. Not dramatic yet, but it's moving. This is where it gets real. By month 3, clinical studies show average weight loss of around 5 to 10% of body weight. On someone who weighs 220 pounds, that's potentially 11 to 22 pounds. Visible, noticeable, people commenting at family dinners weight loss. By month 6, the numbers climb higher. The landmark STEP trial, one of the biggest studies ever done on semaglutide, showed an average of 15% total body weight loss over about 16 months. Some participants lost more than 20%. These are results that consistent diet and exercise alone almost never produce. But here's what before and after photos don't show you. Blood pressure dropping, cholesterol improving, fasting blood sugar coming down, sleep getting deeper, joints aching less, energy coming back. None of that fits in a comparison photo, but that's actually the story. The number on the scale is just the part that's visible. The real transformation is happening in blood work, in doctors' offices, in how someone feels waking up in the morning. That's the before and after that matters most. This section matters, so pay attention. The nausea and digestive side effects, most people going in know about those, but there are things that genuinely catch people off guard. First, muscle loss. Rapid weight loss doesn't only burn fat. Studies show a significant portion of weight lost on semaglutide can be lean muscle mass, especially without resistance training. This is something doctors are increasingly vocal about. Start lifting weights early. Prioritize protein. Don't skip this. Second, Ozempic face. It sounds like a joke. It's not. Rapid weight loss pulls volume from the face, too. Some users are left looking gaunt or noticeably older than before. It surprised a lot of people who weren't warned. Third, the rebound. This is probably the most important one. When people stop taking Ozempic, the underlying biology doesn't change. Studies show most people regain a significant portion of lost weight within a year of stopping the medication. This raises serious questions about long-term use, especially at a cost of $900 to $1,300 a month without insurance. And then there are the rarer but serious risks. Animal studies raised a flag about a potential link to a type of thyroid tumor. Pancreatitis has been reported in some patients. The drug carries a black box warning from the FDA. This is not a supplement. It is a powerful prescription medication. Talk to a real doctor before starting. This is the part most videos skip entirely. When the food noise goes quiet, you realize just how loud it was. For a lot of people, food was never just fuel. It was comfort after a hard day. It was celebration. It was a coping mechanism so familiar you didn't even recognize it as one. When that's chemically removed, some things surface. Some people feel unmoored, like something that was always there has been taken away, and they don't know what to replace it with. Some people feel unexpected grief at social situations, dinners where they can barely eat half a plate, conversations where they feel different from everyone around them. Food is tied to connection, to culture, to memory. When your relationship with it changes overnight, it affects more than your appetite. Mental health professionals increasingly recommend therapy or counseling alongside GLP-1 medications, not because something is wrong, but because a significant physical transformation almost always carries emotional weight too. The physical change is only half the journey. The most common question, should you take it? Honest answer? That depends entirely on your situation, and anyone who tells you otherwise without knowing your health history isn't giving you real advice. What the evidence does show clearly, for people with type 2 diabetes, significant cardiovascular risk, or obesity with related health conditions, this drug has genuinely strong clinical backing. One major trial showed a 20% reduction in serious heart events in high-risk patients. That's people not having heart attacks. That's not a small deal. For someone wanting to drop 15 pounds before summer, the cost, the side effects, the potential need for long-term use, the math probably doesn't work. The people who seem to get the most out of Ozempic treat it as one tool in a bigger picture, paired with real nutrition changes, regular movement, strength training, better sleep. And for many, some form of mental health support. Used that way, it can be genuinely life-changing. Used as a shortcut with nothing else behind it, most people end up back where they started. That's the real before and after. The weight loss, the blood work, the side effects they gloss over, the quiet grief of losing a coping mechanism you didn't know you had, and the genuine relief of feeling like yourself again after years of fighting your own biology. It's complicated. Most things that actually matter are. If this helped you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And drop a comment telling us where you're at in your own journey. New video every week. See you in the next one.